Right, what's up guys, it's JD Gaming here, and today I am bringing you a more serious video than I normally like to bring you guys. This is going to be not really a podcast, but it's something I really have been thinking about talking to you guys about recently. And pretty much everyone who's been living in and around the European area will be aware of what is going on with the refugee crisis at the moment. And obviously this isn't the stuff I would normally talk about, but I find this sort of thing interesting, and I think I have a certain view on it that others might find interesting. This sort of stuff is the sort of stuff I'm good at school, so I thought I'd bring you my own sort of opinions on this. Now, I'm not going to accuse anyone of anything, any types of people. I'm not going to accuse anyone of that. I'm going to try not to. But if you are offended by anything in this video, I would urge you just to ignore it. Don't get any sort of views about me as a person or as a YouTuber just because you disagree with some of the stuff I'm saying. People have different upbringings, have different backgrounds, and that obviously affects their views quite a lot. And I think just because you disagree with me on a political issue doesn't mean you shouldn't watch my videos, all that sort of stuff. You guys do need to remember I'm only 14. I'm not like the most experienced in thinking about this sort of thing. Plus, I thought this would be a good test of my commentary skills and being able to hold a line of thought, that sort of thing. But it's, for those of you that don't know, there's been a lot of conflict in the Syrian area for quite a long time now, and it has been in concentration around there. Obviously, the surrounding areas will have taken some of the conflict, countries like Iraq and stuff, where the UK and the USA especially decided it would be a good idea back in 2003 to invade Iraq and try and dispose of Saddam Hussein from power. It was an illegal war, and it just wasn't really a smart thing to do. Obviously, it's a bit deeper than that in reality, but it's quite a touchy topic, whether people like... a lot of people think Tony Blair, the United Kingdom Prime Minister at the time, should be done for war crimes, which kind of shows how bad a move it was for us to go in. For those of you that don't know, we did actually, the two countries asked the United Nations if we could go in to Iraq. We claimed that we were looking for weapons of mass destruction. The United Nations said no. We still did it anyway, which was a really stupid thing for us to do. And it's now resulted in this Syrian crisis. 12 years on, we're still feeling the repercussions of an illegal war, which kind of shows you should probably go with what the United Nations tells you to do. But, wow, the countries that are capable of taking in some of the refugees, some are, some aren't. Unfortunately, with like a geography and stuff like that, the first country, these people. Okay, the international definition of a refugee is someone who is fleeing for their life, and the first country they land in, they are deemed refugees. But technically, if they then leave said country, they then become immigrants. If they have the correct paperwork and all that stuff, they're completely legal and all that. But in this sort of context, we do unfortunately have the situation where it can be deemed that a lot of these people are illegal immigrants, which is a shame, because they are fleeing one of the, probably the most dangerous area in the world right now, with all of this ISIS situation going on. And one of the main problems with this ISIS situation is that the way the United Kingdom and the US, and specifically the UK at the moment, to be honest, and I'm a bit ashamed to say this, we are using drones. We are using remote controlled drones, and we are bombing the hell out of Syria at the moment. And people are saying, well, why are they coming over here? Well, there are some photos of Syria that I will insert here. If I haven't, remind me, and I will put them in the link after this video. But there are some not good videos that show the damage that not only ISIS but the United Kingdom has done to these people's homes. They've just gone in and bombed cities and stuff like that where they think there might be people from ISIS there. And the main problem with this is that drones are indiscriminate. They bombs, that sort of thing. It's not like a human with a gun. A human with a gun has control over who they shoot. Obviously, there can be human error, all that sort of stuff. But you have a level of control. you can generally see, okay, this person's a civilian, this person's a soldier, I should leave the civilian alone, but shoot the soldier. Obviously, there have been cases where civilians are also fighters, or fighters have disguised themselves as civilians, and that's where things get a little bit complicated. Iraq, Afghanistan are examples of that. But let's get back to the main issue. But that is just a quick overview of why these refugees are coming over here. Now, the main problem in that the country, in terms of the sea, a lot of these people are escaping by sea. Quick note, Jordan and Lebanon have taken in a combined total of over 2 million refugees. Huge props to them. It hasn't been easy for them to accommodate them, but they've put aside any political differences they might have with these people, which I'm not sure they have a massive amount of. I'm a huge expert on Middle Eastern politics, but one thing I do know is that an incredibly rich area of the world is Saudi Arabia, UAE, that sort of thing, but they haven't taken in any refugees. Why, you might ask? Well, this is where it gets complicated, in that the Middle East is a mainly Muslim area, and I have nothing against Muslims. I think people should be free to practice their religion and all that sort of stuff. But for those of you that don't know, there are two main types of Muslim. You have Sunni Muslims, and you have Shia Muslims. You have extremists in both. There's not one good type or one bad type of Muslim. But the UAE and Saudi Arabia are one type. I think they're Sunni. If I'm wrong, do correct me in the comment section below. But one of them is Sunni, and the Syrian people are the other. So let's just say they're Shia for now. And the population of the UAE and said countries isn't that big. So if they were to take in like 100,000 people of the other type of Islam, then their actual civilians would be outnumbered, so they are refusing point blank to take anyone in. They've armed their borders, all that sort of thing, and that, I think, is very shallow, in my opinion. You are putting your religion over humanity, which I think is morally wrong. I don't really want to go into my own personal beliefs. They may come across in this video. It's kind of a hard topic to talk about because I don't want to alienate anyone. Man, it gets hard. But real problem comes when you have certain people. You do have certain people who are very much against the ethos of taking in. Sorry. I'm a bit tired, but I'm recording this at like 10 at night, so I'm not quite with. I had a hard day at school, that sort of thing. But people are a bit annoyed, and they're probably a bit ill-informed and stuff of the situation these people have been going through for a start, and the how they will contribute to society. Personally, I believe that the UK should take in a few more people. Obviously, well, by a few, I mean there are millions and millions of people fleeing the country, and we can't just rely on places like Germany. Germany have taken in a lot of people. They are estimating they'll take in around 800,000 people solely this year. They are probably doing this honestly because they still feel a little bit guilty about the 2 world wars they caused. But honestly, I don't think we can keep on blaming them for that. I do have respect for them for taking in people. But another problem we have is that if we were to take in people, in that Germany has taken in over 100,000 people already, and we have taken in 260, which kind of puts it into perspective. But the main reason people are worried about how this will go down if we do let people in is people are worried that we don't have enough room, that these people are just coming here to claim benefits, and people are just coming here because they will have an easier life. There is a bit of traction with that view, but it's the people who have said view are quite often a tad ill-informed. I don't want to offend anyone here, but there's this picture going around of there's like a map of Europe and whether there's a war or not in the country, and it's basically an arrow pointing to Britain and Germany and stuff, and whilst people are going through loads of countries without any war, but you do need to take into account the finances of these countries. Places like Greece, they can't look after their own people, let alone hundreds of thousands of refugees who are going to be needing emotional help. They're going to be needing physical help, needing like hospitals, that sort of stuff. And it's hard. But for people to come into the UK, they need to go somewhere that is habitable. And honestly, they're going to be coming into the south of England. For those of you who aren't living in England, most of my subs are English, so they will know this sort of stuff. But the southeast of England is by far the most heavily populated area of the country. You go further north, and generally the population gets a bit more. How shall I put this? It gets more dispersed. You have less people per help. Yeah, say if you have less people per square kilometre. Basically, the cities obviously will be quite heavily populated, but there are quite a few jobs up north. People will be saying, well, you could send them out to the West Country, but there aren't. There is a really poor area. It's just not a good place to be if you want to make something of yourself. And honestly, I have no problem with these people coming into the country if they're going to contribute to society. If they're just going to come in here and want to freeload, which I can't see them doing, they are quite proud people. If they're going to come in here, contribute, want to start a new life for themselves, that's fine. If they are coming here because they want to get a job and all that sort of stuff, that's fine. You do need to remember that people who are claiming these people are stealing my jobs probably haven't got many qualifications. If someone who doesn't speak English as their first language, doesn't know his way around the country, doesn't know how culture works over here, doesn't know how we operate business around here, can come in and steal your job, you probably aren't doing your job very well. Let's be honest. It's interesting, and I do like how the people spoke in the country, and there was a large petition going on, online petition, saying we want more people coming in. We are willing to accept people coming into the country, which I respect the people. I personally didn't sign it, as at the time I wasn't informed on the situation, and being only 14, I don't feel I am in the sort of place that I should be at the maturity level to help make these sort of decisions. But on the flip side of that, you do have a lot of these people. You go on to Facebook. I use Facebook. Not many people do. But you go onto Facebook and you go onto something like, someone posts a picture of some refugees, and there will be educated people having a debate about the reasons for and reasons against having refugees come into the country. That is amazing. That is a really great way to gauge the reaction of the people of the country and how they are, what their views are on this sort of stuff. And it's just really interesting. But it's just it's an interesting thing. But it's hard. It's a really hard topic. But you do get people who honestly are just listening to what other people have told them and haven't actually formed their own opinion. And that is when you get the swearing slug matches on places like Facebook that are just ridiculous. I've gone on to places and every other word is cunt or something like that, and it's not on. Honestly, if you don't have your own opinion, it's not acceptable for you to argue with other people if you're just spouting what your favourite politician has stated. Now, I'm 99.9% sure David Cameron, the Prime Minister of Britain, has said he will take in a few thousand refugees, which is something. It's kind of, people are saying, well, it's our fault, so we should take in more people. But on the flip side of that, surely America should be taking in more people on that sort of thing, so it was their idea to go into Iraq, which is the cause of this, basically. This entire problem was caused by us wanting oil. But we used, for those of you that don't know, an excuse was used to go into Iraq to look for weapons of mass destruction, otherwise known as nuclear weapons. And we thought that Saddam Hussein had some. Thought in inverted commas. That is very much debatable whether he actually has some. We didn't find any. Honestly, if you don't know, the Iraq area is very rich in oil, and people generally think that we went in there to get oil. It's a touchy subject. People have far left-wing people who would support Tony Blair to the hilt. You have a lot of people kind of accept that he's wrong. It's touchy. It's really touchy. I don't want to get into the politics of it. But the general feeling of our country is that you have people who on the far left who don't really look at the financial sides of things to see how this would impact our country taking in loads of refugees. And they're just saying, oh, you're such a horrible human being, you think that people shouldn't deserve another chance at their life, sort of thing. And they have a point, they just word it badly, and then you have the far right-wing racists who are saying, I don't want any more Muslims in my country. Now, I said earlier on I wasn't going to go into my belief system, but I think I should in terms of the context of this video. And I'm perfectly comfortable saying that I am an atheist, but I'm not going to judge anyone because of the religion they follow. If they came into my home and told me how I should live my life, then I would have to see a problem with them. But not wanting to help someone whose home has been bombed because they have a certain religion, I think is disgusting. And these people are generally very right-wing. Now, I'm not going to lie, I support the Conservative Party more than any other in this country. I think Labour and Jeremy Corbyn are wrong in how they want the country to be run. I think in politics in general, you generally have the right wing, sounds harsh, but in general it works, whilst you have the left wing, which is an ideal world. And if it was a fair world and money wasn't really an issue, left wing would be amazing. Communism, in theory, is a great idea, but in practice it doesn't work. It doesn't take into account human nature, doesn't take into account people wanting to earn more for their work, sort of thing. And I'll give you an example. If someone's gone to university, studied for 3 years, then they've gone to accountancy school for another 3 years. Not accountancy school, but they've trained as an accountant, that takes at least 3 years. They should earn more than someone who dropped out of school at 16 with 2 GCSEs and works for the council sweeping the roads. It's a conservative idea, works practically, but in terms of empathy for other people, it doesn't work. The Tories in this country, they are getting better. Their current, like, not manifesto, but their slogans is they're trying to make it one Britain, so like it includes everyone, which is interesting. But there are certain things that they have done that I don't agree with. Obviously, I think they would do a better job than Labour would do, but it is a hard topic trying to talk about politics and all that sort of stuff. I wasn't originally going to be talking about politics in this, but I thought I just ended up getting onto it, and it happened. But back to the refugee thing. In that all in total, it is a humanitarian issue. The refugee crisis is a really amazing way of putting it, in that it is a crisis. These people have nowhere to go. If they go back home, they'll get killed. But with the state Europe is in at the moment, I mean, it wasn't that long ago we were in a recession, remember? Having more people to come and, like, for us to have to look after and provide benefits for and all that sort of stuff, it's an interesting topic. Obviously, people are saying, well, they will come here and just try and claim benefits. I think you need to remember in that the benefits these people will get is 30 quid a week. You can't live off £30 a week, let's be honest. It's not, you just can't. They aren't coming here for benefits, they're here for a better life. And I agree to a certain extent with the people who say that if they aren't going to contribute, they shouldn't be allowed in. That I agree with, and I think there does need to be a policy of when the crisis in Syria is hopefully resolved, that there needs to be a sort of quota, in my opinion, of who does what and how it's implemented. And I think there needs to be a register of some point. It's hard. Organising an entire register for hundreds of thousands of people would be nigh on impossible. But The crisis hopefully will eventually end. If it doesn't, then we'll have a whole other problem on our hands. But if you think about it, if we Britain as an island, we are hugely overpopulated in terms of the square area of our country. But we do have the financial capability to take some of these guys in. We shouldn't load off everything to Germany. Then again, not everything should be pressured onto us to do something. I don't think it's not fair to ask places like Greece to take in a massive amount of people. But then again, it's their own fault. They're in debt. It's a really touchy topic. I think I'm pretty much done here. I don't have a massive amount more to say. I think I'll let you guys make your mind up. I would urge you, if you want to educate yourself on it, to read more than one news article on more than one site about it, because sites are biased. BBC is quite pro-government, whilst you have people like, don't read the tabloids for a start. They do nothing. I urge you to look at some of the images coming out of these countries, in that it is very, very hard to look at some of these images and not feel empathy for the people. But one quick final thing from me is that there was an image going around of a 3-year-old boy that drowned. Very, very, very sad. However, it's widely accepted that his body was moved to get a better photo. Anyway, guys, that is all I'm going to leave you guys with. Hopefully you enjoyed this type of video. If you don't like this sort of thing and just want to watch zombies from me, that is totally fine by me. If that's what you're here for, that's cool. If you did enjoy this sort of thing, though, I'd really appreciate you telling me and all that good stuff. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. This really is an issue that needs to get sorted. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this. I really find this sort of stuff fascinating. But anyway, I'll see you on my next video. Bye.